Alrighty, folks, what's up? Game number 2 between Strelok and CheckPrime. This is another Terran vs. Zerg. This time we are on Tal Darum Altar. This is quite an interesting map. I actually enjoy it quite a bit. We can go ahead and take a look at the map, but again, this is a TVZ between Strelok and CheckPrime. Game number 2 in the series between the two players, and let's go ahead and take a look at Tal Darum Altar. Now, we have the main base right here, and right outside of the main base, what's going on over here? Well, that looks like a natural expansion, my friends. There are, of course, no ramps. You can see there is just the opening to the base, but not a ramp. Now, the expansion is relatively exposed. You do have this nice ledge, which makes for somewhat easy defending, especially with dropping, putting tanks and stuff up there. But the real worry is that someone can pull in from the backside over here. So there are these two entrances into the natural. Now, the third base, you do have this option over here. A little bit dangerous, though. Not easy for you to defend. You can see there's no easy access from your main or your natural to get over there. So a lot of times you're going to actually see people pull their third right over here. And of course, the same thing, the map is symmetrical, so over here, same thing for this, same thing for Mr. CheckPrime. He does have this base right over here as his natural, and then pulling on over there, he does have the small little ramp over here, a relatively big ramp, but again, the concern about a push from multiple angles, being able to pull in from both sides. But again, you do have this choke point right here, so that can of course be abused. But again, that concern from over there, a little bit frightening. We can see right now CheckPrime moving out with that Overlord. On the last game, what we saw was a very, very slow push from Strelok. Strelok just moved in his tanks on CheckPrime's base, ever so slowly, protecting his tanks with Marines, and then eventually getting some Thors as well to deal with the Mutalisk harassment. And it was quite effective. We saw Strelok was managing; he was able to take out the base, and wow, look at this. You don't see this. This does not happen in the game of StarCraft, but it's happening right now. Strelok is getting an expansion before a barrack. He has not put down a barrack yet. Just now coming down with the barrack, but he went straight Expo. He said, screw it, I don't need Marines. I'm just going straight for a command center expansion. That is nuts, man. I have not seen that yet in StarCraft 2. That is literally the first time I've seen a Terran player go for an Expo before dropping a barrack. Maybe I don't watch StarCraft. Maybe I know nothing about StarCraft. Who knows? But that's crazy. I'm going to try that. I'm playing that. I'm doing that tonight. Man, obviously, all right, there's a few things to take in consideration. Relatively large map. Rush is not that effective just because the distance between all the bases is quite significant, I would have to say. And then, just knowing CheckPrime, he probably knows that he likes to expand fast. So as a result, he's feeling pretty safe if he doesn't have that early Marine. But that is crazy. Strelok just going all out ballsy for that Expo. Just now getting up his refinery right now. Going to be saturating that, it seems. And then that first barrack is finished, and there goes that first Marine. But look at that. The command center going to be finished before that first Marine even finishes building. Just crazy stuff going on already at the start of this game. I'm loving casting this series already. This is a pretty cool stuff. Metabolic Boost making its way on out. We do see that Expo for CheckPrime finishing at about the same time as the Expo for Strelok. Strelok going to be getting another barrack down, and is he finishing the wall off? Looks like he is, probably with a depot. Maybe not, maybe even getting a bunker. I know he would have to get a depot because he needs his units to get out, so he's going to have something to lower and all that stuff. So I think that depot's coming pretty soon. You need to do something, or else why is that SCV even there? Come on, look at that. He could be mining. And another barrack, so look at that, not coming out with the depot, not planning on leaving his base anytime soon. If he does, he of course is going to just have to lift off one of these barracks, but that is much more difficult than just lowering a depot. You have to realize the time it takes to lift up and drop down is much longer than raising and lowering a depot, so that's something to consider. But apparently he's just going to be boxing himself in for the time being and not looking to push out anytime soon. So Zerglings making their way on through right now, lots of Zerglings in fact, going to be moving on into Strelok's base now. Strelok moving out with that Reaper, going to be trying to do some harassment. He can actually micro away from these Zerglings non-stop if he's paying enough attention, which of course he is. He is Strelok. He doesn't know what he's doing here. So Reaper going to be stopping. I thought he would be pursuing there. There we go, finally moving around with that Reaper. We do have an SCV hanging out over here as well. Is there some more Reapers on the way? No, going to be working on those Marines at this point. Would like to be seeing that stim pack come down. But yeah, until that Metabolic Boost finishes, which actually it just did. So that Reaper unfortunately is no more. Reaper getting dropped right there. Overlord Scout going to be moving in this direction. Probably going to be spotting him somewhere over here so that he can see when Strelok does eventually try to go for that third base. Some more Zerglings going to be pushing forward. forward. They're unfortunately going to run right into this wall here. No chance of them getting in, and those Marines, of course, are going to stop them from actually trying to attack there. And very Marine heavy. Here comes that stim pack, and we do have a starport making its way on out, as well as a reactor, so we might be seeing some dropping going on. He could either be going for double medevac or maybe going for double Hellion and just getting a couple medevacs to do some drop action, but I think that is his plan. Again, I don't think Strelok's going to be pushing out anytime relatively soon. I could be wrong, though. We'll see what happens. We do have 2 extractors coming down here, so CheckPrime getting ready to pull into a Vespian heavy build. We can see that layer, of course, is already up, and right now he's got a Spire and a Baneling's Nest coming. So going to be going for that pretty standard build against Terran. You're going to be going for that Speedling, Baneling, Muta. At least from the get-go here. We're on no Roach Warren at the moment. So yeah, just going to be rolling with Speedling, Baneling, Muta for now, and seeing how effective that will be. So eventually, at some point in the near future, going to want to see an engineering bay coming out from Strelok so that he can get a few turrets to deal with those Mutalisks. I'm sure he more or less expects Mutalisks just because of the build that Strelok does go typically. Strelok really likes Marines and tanks against Zerg, and I don't blame him because it's pretty solid. And look at that engineering bay coming down, man. It's like I know what I'm talking about. Pretty crazy stuff here. Overlord chilling out, and he is, of course, spotting to see if any drops pull in this direction. That's actually some nice placement there, because look, medevacs would likely be coming right across here. If you follow my cursor on the minimap there, that's likely to be the path of any medevacs for a drop. The medevacs aren't as likely to go down here and around just because it doesn't really seem that natural pulling down in that direction. And we do, of course, just in case he does, CheckPrime having the Overlord scout over here. So great position there by CheckPrime. Unfortunately, a little supply block there. Here are the medevacs. So again, not going to be moving through that front. In fact, just going to be working with these medevacs to get some mobility and pull around the map and see what he can do there. Now, we do already have a few mutas on the board. We do also have a bunch of Banelings coming out right now. Now, those mutas, we do have to, Strelok has to be very, very careful about when he picks up those Marines and where he moves to, because those mutas, of course, are going to be quite easily able to snipe them up. Now, we do have Stimpack research right now. These Marines going to be moving forward and doing what they can, and this is going to be a problem right now. Lots of Zerglings, but the Banelings plus the mutas are the real danger right now. He needs to stop the Marines to deal with the mutas, but if he stops the Marines, the Banelings roll into him. So very dangerous, very precarious situation here for Mr. Strelok. Needs to be a little bit careful. At the same time, CheckPrime doesn't want to lose his very expensive Mutalisks to some cheap stimmed up Marines. That is the last thing you want to do as a Zerg player. Losing, again, those Mutalisks, just so very expensive. But look at this. We are going to be seeing some Muta harass moving down right now. Now, as I mentioned, we did have that NG Bay drop, so there are the turrets. So again, great play there by Strelok, getting out those turrets to defend against those early game Mutas. And again, keep in mind, early game, when there's only like 5 or 6 Mutas, you do not need a lot of turrets. One turret is really enough to deter 5 or 6 mutas, especially if you can get even a little bit of repairs going down here. Marines moving forward, and though that's going to be shooting back those mutas right now, and actually no, moving without shooting, so they're actually on a regular move and not an attack move, and as a result, losing all of his Marines without any retaliation. And not a lot of Marines, but finally coming forward with these medevacs, going to be able to drop these Marines, stim them up, and push out those Mutalisks. And look over here, CheckPrime's going to be going right now for his 3rd base. Doesn't look like Strelok is planning on expanding anytime soon. We can see coming out with these double barrack right here, also getting that double reactor, working out and getting out his tanks right now. So look at that, going with the same standard build against Zerg, going with those Marine tanks, maybe possibly getting some Thors in the future if those Muta numbers become too heavy. But until then, Marine tank is going to be solid. And here comes the push right now from Strelok. Going to be looking to move across the board. Lots of Zerglings over there. Full map control pretty much from CheckPrime. He's got full vision of exactly what's going on. Having control of all those El Naga towers, so he sees this push coming. He's well aware of what's happening and going to be counteracting by moving down with some Zerglings. And oh man, there is a space there. Big blunder by Strelok, leaving that space in between. Zerglings are free to move in and going to be doing what they can for us, but no, they should not be attacking those Marines at the front. Going to be pulling into the main base, at the very least, get a full scout, see what's going on, and do what you can to do a little bit of harassment. Going to be moving around, probably trying to move into the mineral line, going to be trying to pick off anything that he can. The Terran unit's relatively slow in comparison to these Zerglings, and Zerglings going to just be attacking these SCVs, trying to take them down one at a time, and there we go. The Zerglings have been dropped by the Marines that finally caught up, and look at these Muta numbers coming out of nowhere, right out the woodwork, and these tanks are dead in the water, leaving these tanks out here. Strelok made a big mistake. The Mutalisks going to be sniping them down very quickly. Marines moving forward to do what they can. They should be able to push back, but that is a lot of Muta numbers, and we do also have 20 Zerglings making their way on in. Let's take a look here. 15 Mutalisks, and we do have 30 Marines. No tanks, but a couple medevacs here on the board as well. These Mutalisks right now in these numbers can actually quite handily deal with these turrets. Don't really want to walk into those grouped up turrets though, especially with these Marines pushing down. So going to be forced to push back right now. But look at this, CheckPrime working on saturating his third base, and it's looking a little bit difficult right now for Strelok to push out. The main thing is that he lost those tanks. He set those tanks in the middle when he was pulling back to deal with that Zergling run by, when the Zerglings managed to eke in through the base here. And as a result, they were so completely vulnerable and got sniped down. And that's actually a big problem because, again, you can see right now only sitting on the two siege tanks right now, but that is really not enough to deal with heavy Zergling and Baneling numbers. We do have 52 Zerglings out right now, so it just really doesn't look like Strelok can effectively push out anytime soon. Looks like he's going to be trying to, though. He does have a lot of medevacs right here. That is, of course, going to significantly help with those Marines there. And here we go, pushing out again. CheckPrime fully aware of this, having control of the Xel'Naga towers, but these Mutalisk numbers are killing me. He just keeps pumping them out, sitting on 23 right now. We have a couple of Banelings coming in, 11 already on the board. Zerglings and Banelings going to be pushing forward. Have seen a decent creep spread here from CheckPrime, and looks like those Marines going to be trying to push, but at the same time seeing a counterattack here from CheckPrime, and so many Mutalisks. This is going to be really, really hard for him to deal with. He's going to absolutely devastate that, taking down these depots. Zerglings are going to be running rampant right now inside of the base, and there is the GG. Strelok calling good game because he knew his base was dead. His entire force was down here, and he just wasn't going to be able to deal with these numbers. And by the time, if he tried to pull back with his force, by the time he got there, he would have lost pretty much everything at that point. You may say, well, what about lifting off? And lifting off isn't the smartest of decisions when there are 23 Mutalisks on the board. The next question may be, well, why didn't he just go for a base trade? He wouldn't win. He wouldn't win the base trade. There's really no way. By the time those Marines and tanks took care of all of these bases, again, we do have 3 bases, a 4th base coming up right here. It was just in the position right now, basically, that CheckPrime would have mopped up Strelok's base before the Strelok could have retaliated much at all. The other thing, too, is, man, that's a lot of Banelings right now. So just a little bit of miss micro, even the smallest bit of miss micro would have lost all his Marines. But anyways, Strelok does throw in the towel, so that is the end of game number 2. We're going to be moving on to game number 3 in just one moment, so stay tuned, guys. It's coming right now. Of Strelok, and taking a look at that income, again, 27 to 44 workers. Look at that big discrepancy in resource gathering at the moment. Strelok just at a tremendous advantage, and here comes the push right now, and again, not looking good. A couple of Banelings rolling forward. That's actually going to help quite a bit because all of these units are light with the exception of a couple Marauders who wants to keep those Banelings in the back and pull them out, but nice spread there of those Marines. So even when the Banelings roll forward, trying to catch up to the Marines and walking right by the Marines, they in fact didn't feel like attacking them. They just wanted to